worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
We are here with another episode of Lions Nation Unite Livestream, where we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. Ant-Man will be on here in about 10-15 minutes. Just spoke with him. He's running a little bit late. Why? Because, well, he works, and that's part of the business. Right now we got Chrome, 9 Drinks, Salem, Bobo, and Justin Big Arms Chase all in the building to talk Lions, and we're getting closer to preseason week 1. What, about 10 days away? What's going on, my guy? Raw Podcast in the building. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to my best friend's channel there, Raw Podcast. His stuff is absolute fire. What's going on, Thomas Burrick, all the way from AK? Let's start with the news really quick about Shane Zylstra. Shane Zylstra had a nasty injury, and he looks to be out for 6 months. Well, first off, that sucks for Shane Zylstra, a guy trying to make the roster. And we didn't think he was going to make the roster anyways. I think a lot of us believed he was more of a practice squad guy, but now with the injury, he's probably going to miss the whole season or really close to it. So it sucks for him. Same with Tom Kennedy, the preseason standout wide receiver there, injured. Man, you know, it's terrible to see guys who's trying their best to make a roster and then get an injury such as this. But what's going on, Mr. Ant-Man?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
We hear you all right, Ant-Man. How's it going, man?
Hey, going good, thanks. I thought I'd just join you a little bit early. I'm just on my way back home. I'll be back in about 5 minutes, but, you know, I like to spend time with you, Mike, so I thought I'd just drop in before I got back.
Hey, I appreciate you like spending time with me. Hey, I love it, man. You're the Ant-Man. What do you think about Shane Zylstra going down for, looks like 6 months?
Oh, it's tragic, isn't it? I mean, a guy you just saw him coming through last year. He had the really good game against the Panthers, and he just looked like he was settling into this team. And to be hitting training camp like that, 6 months, is just gutting. I'm absolutely gutted for him.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal for a guy trying his best to make a roster. It's not like he was a bad tight end or anything. He actually produced really well for the Lions, I thought. And what do you think about Tom Kennedy as well, getting injured? Looks like his season's over.
Yep. I mean, he'll still be here next year, won't he? I mean, he's just a guy who will never go away, and he'll recover. He'll be still here next season. He'll still be fighting for a roster spot next year. But again, it happens, and that's just the unfortunate nature of it. So, as Dan says, as everyone says, it's kind of next man up. Who's going to get that spot now? You know, wide receiver, the room's open at depth. So, it's going to be interesting to see.
100%. Very interested to see. Misty, what is going on? Love the avatar right there. Bobo Lane, he says he's going to get paid. Well, yeah, he's going to get some sort of pay for his injury settlement. So let's get into Jameson Williams back in the lineup. Good to see. Marvin Jones Jr. back in the lineup. Good to see. Thoughts on those two?
Oh, it's JMO is really, really starting to get at me. Not him, sort of the criticism that I've been seeing of him. It's great for him to be back, to be training. He's really, really big for this team. And some of the stick he gets, man, I just get so fed up of it. You saw the block he was putting down. You're seeing that he's absolutely torching guys in training. It's going to come together for him. He needs these reps, and, you know, he's going to be a star soon. I just hate these criticisms of him. People who are really getting at him, and it's starting to bug me. You know, people fight in training. We've had it at the Lions camps for the last few years. People throw punches. People get passionate. That's what the room's about. It's what Dan's about. So I don't know why he is always singled out with these things. But for JMO, I'm glad he's back. And for Marvin, I'm glad he's back because, you know, he'll be a really solid veteran for us.
100%. I think, you know, a lot of people want to see production when it comes to Jameson Williams, and I totally get it. I think that's where he's going to shut up all his critics. Unfortunately, he suspended the first 6 games, but he started off a little bit rough in practice. However, he was starting to do pretty damn good there. What JMO we expect him to do there, man? He getting behind the defense, speed. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, I mean, the toe tap when he did Cam Sutton was amazing. You saw the speed where he just sort of cut out the perimeter and the toe tap, the hands were so good. And Cam was nowhere near him. And I watched it, and it's not like it was bad coverage. It was really good. It's just he's so damn quick that this is what he's capable of. But again, you also saw the block for Gibbs. He's, you know, people just think he's a bit of a diva, but he will get in the trenches. He does all this hard, dirty work that's required of Detroit receivers. So you see in every facet of his game start to come together. The more reps he gets, the better he's looking. And yeah, he had catching issues, which is a pain. But like Gardner Johnson was saying in his presser the other day, it's training camp. That's what it's here for, to get these mistakes out the system. Otherwise, there'd be no need for it if they were just that good right away. So I love what JMO's been doing. It's really good. It's really promising.
Hey, 9 Drinks, appreciate you right there. Hey, we're all about getting any sort of viewers here, and the females are fans as well. They love football. Just because they're a woman doesn't mean they don't know nothing about it. My boss, Chrissy, female, and she sure knows a lot about football, and you got to give credit there. How about Dylan Drummond, the undrafted free agent wide receiver, making some legit noise out there? These undrafted guys, Ant-Man, what's going on with Dylan Drummond? Could he make the roster?
I mean, the possibilities there because, you know, we need depth receivers. You know, we've got some of the main guys lined up, but when it gets to wide receiver 4, 5, 6 with Kennedy gone, there's a spot open, you know, and these undrafted guys, I think the big thing about them is they know that they can come here and can compete for a starting spot. You look at Starling Thomas, you know, you look at even Stephon Gilmore, the Marshall cornerback, who is, by all accounts, having a great camp because they've seen guys come here as undrafted free agents who are big parts of this team now. And I just think it generates such good competition because they know they've got a legit shot here. It's not a case of they're a camp body, they've been used as fodder. It's like, no, they've got the opportunity, so it doesn't surprise me. Obviously, the receivers have been a bit quiet so far, the new ones, but it's good to see him doing well. And obviously, there's Cota in there who's still around, so it's all good for the team. All this competition is great. Overall, I've loved camp. Because for the first time in what feels like forever, we've got legitimate depth at every position.
Before we continue on, I want to do a huge shout out to a Detroit Lions content creator. I mean, these creators here, they're making careers out of their job, and we have a new content creator. He's fairly new, I think within a year. Miko just joined Pride of Detroit. He is a Detroit Lions YouTuber. I've been on with him a couple of times. Huge shout out to Miko and his pal for joining Pride of Detroit. Very good content creators over there. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Check them out on Pride of Detroit. So proud of these content creators, Ant-Man. That's, you know, they started something and now they're making careers out of it.
Oh, I love Miko, man. I've spoken with Miko quite a few times on Luke's channel, and me and him think alike. So I like the guys who we quite think alike as well. But it's so well deserved for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does with them. But yeah, content creating for the Lions is great. There are so many wonderful people around who do such great content, and it's not competition. It's just, you've got so many people you can go and watch. So it's brilliant. I love it. I love being part of the community.
100%, man. I think it's awesome. So huge shout out to him. And while he gets, his stuff situated when he gets in his chair, talk about how the running backs played really well. How about David Montgomery and his ability to break tackles? That's what he was doing in practice. Now, he's not the guy that you're going to think of Jahmyr Gibbs. He's not one of these individuals, but he was breaking tackles, exactly what we wanted him to do. So shout out to him for getting on there and getting it done for Lions training camp, because we need to hear a lot from David Montgomery. He's going to be a big part of the Lions run game, and it is good that this guy is breaking tackles and doing what we want him to do. So shout out to him for sure for getting it done. Ant-Man, did you hear about what David Montgomery was doing?
Yeah, really impressed with him. I watched his interview the other day. The way that he just goes about his work, he's very calm, he's very collected, and you can see why he consistently churns out 1,000-yard seasons in the league. He's just one of those guys who stays under the radar, does all the hard work, just keeps churning and grinding and grinding and grinding, and does everything that's required of him. And I like the role he's taking with Jahmyr, and he's just going to be big for this team, man. He's just going to be so great. And no, I like him. Very well spoken, and he's going to do really well behind this offensive line.
You know, I was on a podcast yesterday with some Jets fans and some Kansas City fans. They asked me to come on to talk Lions. And one of the guys was a Lions fan. Huge shout out to those guys out there. And Jahmyr Gibbs came up as the weapon, the guy that really can change a trajectory, I think, for a couple games for the Detroit Lions. They've showed that in training camp. He's just been absolutely outstanding. And he broke a tackle and just went the distance yesterday in practice. Something that we have missed for many years, having that breakaway speed. Now, we did have DeAndre Swift, who is an individual we thought he could be in that role. But with that said, it never really fully transpired. And now it looks like that we got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be taking that role for Detroit. What do you think about Jahmyr Gibbs lighting up training camp, making a big move, going all the way to the house?
Oh, I'm just so excited. Like last year with JMO, I said he was the prospect I was looking forward to seeing most in the last decade because he could potentially be that good. And I still have that feeling about him. But with JMO, it's kind of the same, nearly as much. He's a difference maker. He's a game changer. And the way that he plays the game, the dynamicism that he offers your offense out of the backfield, but as a running back, because I think a lot of people don't appreciate the running back side to him. People are excited by what he can do as a receiver, but as a rusher, he just has the ability to change games. I watched him plenty last year, and you're seeing him make the plays in camp as a runner, and they've said they're only training him as a runner at the minute. That's what they're getting into. Then they're going to get into the receiving stuff, but he still looks like a natural receiver as well. Again, I'm just looking forward to his debut so much. I think he's going to be huge this year. I've said, 1,500 yards season, maybe more. And I think that's quite well possible. Even with Monty in there, I think it's possible because he'll get the passing yards as well. So I'm not surprised he's breaking everything down in camp. And all the rookies have, for a wider point of view, they've been surprisingly good considering. But Jahmyr, man, he's special.
Very special, folks. Oh my God, I get giddy thinking about him. And we get to see him play here in about, 10 days there. So preseason 1, it's going to be amazing. He's getting to his new seat there. We got 81 in the building with 19 likes. Go ahead and smash that like button. Let's get to 25 likes. And if you are on Facebook, do the thumbs up, do a love, hell, whatever you can. And that's what we're doing here, just having a good time talking Lions. So let's get that done. James Houston has been impressive so far in training camp as well. I don't think anybody expected anything different. We love James Houston. Will he get more time on defense starting? I think that's the biggest question here. And I'm going to say yes. I think he's going to go from around 15 snaps to 30. What do you guys think in the comments below? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he gets around 30. And with this impressive movement that he's been making and having a young guy such as him getting it done, I think for sure. And then, of course, Aiden Hutchinson if you could sack the quarterback, would be getting a lot of sacks. He's been absolutely outstanding in camp, and he's making it known that there's not going to be a sophomore slump with Aiden Hutchinson. So when it comes to looking at the Lions edge rushers, I'm impressed. Same with Broderick Martin, who has been silently impressive and physical with the interior defensive line, and Levi Onwuzurike making some plays as well. Huge for Detroit Lions defense to have these young players able to play on a consistent basis, and it's happening in camp. Jason Statham. We're seeing Levi. I'm loving it. We're seeing Broderick, Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston. Thoughts on the Lions defensive line?
It's looking really good. And, the old cliche they keep using about the iron sharps iron thing, it's true in this case. You've heard all the guys talking about it. You've heard Frank talking about it, especially with Aleem and the change he's been going through. You've heard it from Penay, who's like, I'm just going up after guy after guy after guy who is hungry and ready for this. And you think the edge room's 7-8 deep, and they're really good. But I love it about the whole team this year. And that's the thing I've loved about training camp in general is there's competition absolutely everywhere. And you can see it's driving up standards. Penay is having to work as hard as he ever has, but he still looks great and he's still winning. Aiden's looking great, beating Penay on reps. And on the other side, Decker is looking really good as well. Frank is good, but then even like the rookies are coming in. Broderick has had success against Frank, which is crazy considering he's a rookie coming out the CUSA. These are the standards that we've long needed here. It's like no one's safe. Everybody is fighting for their life because they know there's a job available if they work hard and they graft. And that's the biggest thing Dan Campbell's done for this team. It's anybody can get in, and that means that everybody's fair game and everybody has to work their ass off, and you can see that.
100%. And they're working their butts off. They're doing exactly what they need to get done, and I think this training camp is coming out better than even I had expected. I had high expectations for his training camp, but it's really impressive. Like really, really impressive from the last couple of years, last decade of what they're doing out there. Jonathan says, when you take Gibbs in fantasy football, that's an interesting one. Maybe in round 3. That's kind of what I'm looking at round 3. I may want to go a more secure guy who's going to run the football. I know a lot. Generally, when it comes to the running back position, you want someone that runs quite a bit. That's why you get like Jalen Hurts at quarterback, and you get a lot of running backs like that. But I think round 3 would be a good spot for him. So are you impressed with this training camp so far? What's being done with the players? The reports coming out?
Absolutely. And, this is not drinking the Kool-Aid here. This is me. It's been exactly everything that I wanted. So when they got into, when they were not in pads last week, it was just the first week training camp, but you were hearing things. The offense was better. The offense was better than the defense. But the defense, there were players on there, certain guys who were standing out and shining. That was kind of exactly what I wanted, because this offense is already where it needs to be. It's been a top 5 unit in the NFL. It's been on the field and done that. It's got its identity. And for the most part, you're returning the same guys last year. There's not, you've got Laporta coming in and you've got a new running back room, but the O-line set, quarterback set. I expect them to be in more rhythm. I expect them to look better. I expect them to have the edge over the defense. But I also know, on the flip side, I've got lots of talented rookies. I've got talented veterans in now. I know I have a foundation on my defense. So when I'm hearing about them individually doing well, making improvements, that's exactly what I want to hear out my first week, because that's where they should be, and that's what should be happening. And then you've come into pads this week, and the overarching thing you've been hearing is one day one side's been doing well, next day the other side has sort of countered and done better. And this is what training's all about. You don't want like the offense winning day after day after day,
correct,
or the defense winning day after day after day. You listen to Gardner Johnson when he was talking about, I think it was Thursday last week, when the offense was like 30 of 35 or something like that, and they had a bad day. It's like, well, it's training, man. It happens. We're going to come back. They go away collectively as a unit. They learn about the mistakes. They come back. and they improve. And you've seen, as we got into the pads, this defense, it's had some bite to it. You heard Montgomery talk about how he's feeling it after practice. You know, Aaron Glenn's defenses are physical, the way they're hitting him hard, they're making him work. And this is the sort of stuff that you want to hear. So I like it. It's just competitive all across the board. It's competitive in the units themselves, but then it's sort of driving a real, you know, team ethic between them. Offense, defense, one hits, the other hits back, and then the other hits back again. I like the dynamic of what's been there so far. And the other most important thing I want to talk about, as I just mentioned on briefly, the rookies. So Dan Campbell has been at great lengths to say, when the rookies get in pads, there'll be a drop-off. Naturally, because it's such a big step up coming up against all these battle-trained NFL guys, you know, the speed, the intensity, etc. But you've not heard about it. Instead, what you've heard about is that Jack Campbell is just a stud who's amazing, who, if he makes a mistake, he never makes it again. He's picking it all up. You hear about Brian Branch, who is just pass breakups, interceptions, day after day after day. You've got Gardner Johnson really pouring on some big praise about him. And CJ, you know, he shoots from the hip. He'll tell you what he thinks. If he's giving him praise, he's giving him praise. You hear about Broderick, who's doing really well, and he's putting in extra work to do with his technique and the bits he needs to. Even Antoine Green, Ben Johnson's talked about Antoine Green. Dan Campbell's talked about Antoine Green. Some of the wide receivers have been dinged up, and he's gone in, and they're like, he's earned some first-team reps to go in there, and he looks good. With him now, it's more about his consistency. But when he makes a good play, when he's on his form, he's really good. He can separate, and it seems like none of the rookies have been overawed by it all. So that there shows the right attitude and the work ethic, and that's what I really, really, really love to see.
Detroit Steve's got a question here. Which rookie are you most excited for? I've been talking about Jahmyr Gibbs forever, so I'm going to switch it up because I have been talking about him, even though that really is the guy I'm looking forward to. I'll go to Brian Branch. I'm really excited for what he's going to do. I cannot believe we got him in the second round, and you're in a training camp. He has learned really quick. He's lined up all over the defense, corner, linebacker, safety. He's going to be utilized quite a bit. So just to see how he's used, if he can get those turnovers and be physical and knocking people down behind the line of scrimmage, I think, you know, having a player like him that Aaron Glenn can kind of use as a Swiss Army knife during NFL season is going to be glorious. And that's how we're going to get some of these turnovers. What about you, Ant-Man?
See, this sounds like a really big cop-out, but all those 5 top 100 picks, I am legitimately excited for. It's not just one. Gibbs, yeah, stud. Absolutely love it. I think if you're going to pick one, it's Gibbs all the way there, said and done. But, you know, Laporta, I'm really excited to see him and how he does. You know, love his receiving ability, love his energy, love his effort. Jack Campbell's just going to be great. And then, you know, like you said about Branch, I've just explained it there. The dude's going to be a stud. He's the next CJ in this league, or he's going to be the first Brian Branch, but he's going to be in that mold. He's going to be that much of an impact player for a team. And even Broderick, I think in year one, we're going to see Broderick, you know, sporadically, but I think he's going to really surprise a lot of people with just how good he can be. I've watched a lot of the tape on him and seen what he can do. I've seen the attitude in camp, you know, the amount of hours he's putting in, you know, to working on those issues. The man's dedicated, the man's driven, and, you know, he's sure as hell got everything in the grit scale. So I think he's going to have a really good season as well. So it sounds like a cop-out, but I'm looking forward to seeing all of them.
If you got a question, folks, put it in the comment section. Use the words hashtag something, hashtag LNU, hashtag Lions, whatever. It's how I can see it, and then we put it up there, and we will answer it for you for the mailbag segment. So just start doing that right now. Python Knight says, I'm just annoyed because everyone is going to compare Martin to Carter because people are upset that we didn't get Carter. If anybody compares Martin to Carter, that's a terrible comparison. Just absolutely, you can't do that at all. We just can't do that there, man. We cannot compare that at all.
So what I've found in my time doing this is that people get most upset about players who you trade up for and give away picks for. You know, like JMO, some people were upset that we gave up picks for JMO, people were upset that we gave up picks for Broderick. We gave up 3 picks, but you saw it inside the den. That was calculated. You know, we didn't have all those picks beforehand. They were deliberately trying to get those picks to come back up and get him. But I find that whenever we trade up for a guy, that there are a lot of people who would just instantly dislike it because they like picks and more players. And, you know, that's not necessarily right. It's wrong that Broderick gets compared to Jalen Carter because at the end of the day, they're not the same player.
Not at all.
Broderick Martin is a straight-up nose tackle, you know, a run-stuffing nose tackle who does have upside as a pass rusher, but Jalen Carter is more, you know, that explosive pocket collapser type dude. And, you know, that should be very obvious. There should be no comparison. If Jalen Carter was a nose tackle, you know, who gone in the first round and did it all and that, I can get that, but they're not the same player, so it's null and void.
Go ahead and hit that like button, folks. 15 likes to 50. We got 110 in the building. We got some folks on Facebook. Go ahead and do that thumbs up. It does help the channel out. It does help the content out there. So you get your Detroit Lions content that you so desire. We got a question here from Mr. Wizard. Why did the NFL target Detroit Lions players other than other teams' gambling violations? I am not sure. I don't know how, they did their investigation, how they found out about gambling. Maybe it was somebody around the facility in Detroit. I could not tell you how this occurred. I don't believe they're just targeting Detroit because they're targeting Detroit. It probably was an individual that kind of did a little bit of narking. What do you think about? Do you know anything else about this? Because I haven't heard anything on it.
I don't know any specifics, so I can't say anything in regards to that. All I will say is that the NFL need to decide what they want to be in terms of, because they act like they want to be the morality police, but then they will only take stances on certain issues of morality, not them all, like gambling. Oh yeah, JMO should be suspended for 6 games. Yeah, you know, Jordan Addison drives 140 miles an hour in a car, and I don't care whether it's for his pet or whatever. That's endangerment to life. Like flat out endangerment to life, regardless. I don't care whether it's on a quiet road in the middle of life. He's endangering himself, but nothing will be done to him. He will just be allowed to go on his pretty business and be able to take part in the entire season. Where, yeah, you know, JMO's pressed a button on his phone, and that is all of a sudden immoral and against the spirit of the game and all this sort of stuff. It's like either do it all or just keep your noses out and don't do it at all. Because then you just look like rank hypocrites. And the NFL love to do that. But JMO should not be suspended, flat out. It's obvious players didn't know. It's obvious they have failed in their duty of, establishing the rules properly for players and agents who don't even know. You know, agents are paid to know this sort of stuff. So it's just crazy to me.
Giorgio Lee Slacker says it was easy for them to find out on Wi-Fi. That's 100%. When I worked at my previous job, anything that you did, they can track it. So that is a great way they probably found it out. Before I had this great, wonderful job that I absolutely love doing, the other job that I was at could easily track it. But hey, that is what it is. Hashtag One Pride. Jeff Risden was saying, don't be surprised if Hooker is ready much earlier than expected. If he is, does that mean we won't pursue Teddy Bridgewater anymore? I think Teddy Bridgewater is more of the Nate Sudfeld thing. I don't think it has anything to do with Hendon Hooker. I love the progress of Hendon Hooker, and I he very well could be ready before the end of training camp because he was on that hill going up, down on the old Matt Patricia hill. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think if they sign Teddy Bridgewater, it's more to do with Nate Sudfeld there, Ant-Man.
I wouldn't stop my pursuit of Teddy, regardless of Hooker's health. Yeah. I mean, for me, if I'm being brutally honest, I want to redshirt Hendon. I don't want him to play this season. You know, Jared's healthy, Jared's fit. I'm not going to throw him into a situation where he could be responsible for our playoff hopes and aspirations, because at the end of the day, he's still got a lot to learn in terms of the scheme change, in terms of running on an NFL offense, you know, dealing with it all. We need this year we need to be put in the best possible position to make the playoffs, to win the NFC North, to win playoff games. Teddy Bridgewater is that over Hendon Hooker, and that is not a knock on Hendon in the slightest. It's that Teddy has been there, done that, and can run an offense succinctly, that we have the run game to be able to make it. So he just has to be a game manager to help us win. I don't really want to see Hendon here. Ideally, I want to see Goff at first, Bridgewater second, Sudfeld can be clip holder at third, scout teams, whatever, and then we can just sit Hendon, let him recover, get him acclimatized to the NFL, get him acclimatized to our scheme. He's under no pressure whatsoever. And then coming into next year, then we can put him in this team and do it that way. So that for me is how I'd prefer to do it with Hendon. I don't want him to impact the Teddy signing, and I don't think he will.
That has nothing to do with him because they already got a plan for Hendon Hooker. Same with they had the plan with Jameson Williams last year with the injuries. This is just what they do. It has nothing to do with that. What NFL player would you say Broderick Martin compared to? You'll remember this name. I don't know if you guys know. Remember, Sammy Lee Hill. That's who I'm going to say it reminds me of. 4th round pick. What was that, like 10 years ago? Sammy Lee Hill. Now he ended up signing with, I think, in Tennessee Titans in free agency. But I liked him right there. Just that nose tackle, the guy to stop the run. I'm not going to go on here and say he's going to be the best run stuffer in the NFL. He's a rookie. But that's who I compare him to. What about you? Do you have another comparison?
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head because there aren't many like pure thoroughbred noses in the NFL, I guess now, really, and that's what he is. God, just trying to think who it'd be. Who uses a nose tackle? I mean, he's not in the Kenny Clark nose tackle mold like Aleem. He's not in the because Aleem's nose tackle. He's not in that mold. He is just purely and simply a big beefy guy in the middle who is going to help stuff the run for you. So I don't. Who would be that now? I mean, Ashawn? No, is Ashawn?
Ashawn, he's bigger than Ashawn.
He's bigger than Ashawn, isn't he? Yeah, I must admit, I don't know. I don't know of too many thoroughbred nose tackles in the NFL. So yeah, it's weird, but he will be good regardless. I think. Broderick will find his way here again because he does have the pass rush upside. I think he'll be like Aleem. I think you'll find that maybe after a year or so he'll drop a bit of weight, get a little bit more razz when it comes to the pass rush. But you're going to establish him as a run defender. That's what this year is all about, is establishing him as a run defender. And that is all he'll be, and that's all he needs to be.
And just be patient with some of these rookies, guys. If they don't come out and blowing on all cylinders day one, it doesn't mean that they are a bust. I heard that with Aiden Hutchinson. It's just not the case. That's just not how it works. We got Gerald says, if Hooker is healthy, they should have him at least third quarterback spot. Let him at least get reps at practice. Look, if he's healthy, 100% healthy, I think he would be the number 3. But I don't know. I think they're going to take their time with him. I don't know exactly how they're do it here. Like he may not be practicing maybe until week 1 or something like that if they do it. So it's just more on what their plan is for his health. So we just got to be patient with that. Teddy could go 4-1, 3-2 if Goff goes down. Sudfeld can go 0-4 or 0-5, right? Yeah, I think Teddy Bridgewater is a big jump as a backup role, and compared to Nate Sudfeld, Teddy Bridgewater actually has starting experience. He's actually played a significant amount of snaps in the NFL. Nate Sudfeld has not. Even though Sudfeld's doing good in training camp, I prefer somebody that's done it on the field during game time. That's just my thing. That's my thing.
Oh, yeah. Sudfeld's not going to win you games. He's like Chase Daniel. In fact, Chase Daniel's probably better than him, which kind of says all you want to really about that. You've got to have a guy who can command the offense well enough and pass well enough to complement a run game. You can't just run the ball all the time. You've got to have a guy who can give you that element of surprise, who can make good throws. And Teddy has been a starter on multiple teams. He has longevity in this league as a starter. And, it's kind of injuries that have more done for Teddy rather than form or anything like that. He will be miles better than Sudfeld. That is what we need this year. I'm not having us getting 5 weeks into the year, been like 3-2, 4-1, Goff getting injured and then just been told at the end of the year when we've lost out, oh, it happens. I'm like, sorry, no. This is our year. The window is open for the Lions now to establish superiority in the NFC North. You've got to have all eventualities covered. Teddy covers the biggest question on this team in terms of personnel, which is the backup quarterback and whether we can win with one. It has to be done.
What if you win a playoff game and Goff gets hurt afterwards? Would you install Hooker? First off, that would be just absolutely terrible luck. Lions win a playoff game, and there goes Jared Goff, and we got to bring in Hendon Hooker. Oh, I would definitely take Hendon Hooker over Nate Sudfeld. That's not even a question because he's mobile too as well. He's a mobile quarterback. I think he's better. But my God, that would be a horrible scenario because you want Jared Goff in there. You don't want to have the rookie playing in a playoff game. Oh my God, that would just be brutal. That would be brutal, Ant-Man.
It would. I mean, it depends. If you're saying, would I install Hooker if I had Bridgewater on the team? No. Would I install Hooker if it was Sudfeld on the team? Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would. But that would ideally be a scenario that I wouldn't want to do. And again, it's with Hendon. He's got so much to learn. This offense that we run here is like the furthest iteration of an offense away from what he ran at Tennessee. It's so much different. All the intricacies, the nuances of what you're doing, it's really hard to pick up. And in this case, it's more, you would prefer to have veteran hands behind it just to be able to, again, you can win it. You're relying on your ground game. Your ground game can go win it for you. You just need someone to come in and be able to do it right. I wouldn't, but if it's against Sudfeld, then I would.
Hashtag Go Lions here. I heard Shane Zylstra is hurt. How long is he out? What do we do with this position now? Well, first off, he's going to be out approximately 6 months, probably for the whole year. What are they going to do with the position? I don't think he was making the 53-man roster anyways. So it would have been a practice squad guy. So I think it's going to be I think it's going to be Brock Wright. I think it's going to be James Mitchell and obviously Sam Laporta. I think those are the three tight ends anyways. So I think the only thing that it hurts is him going to the practice squad if there's an injury. Other than that, I don't think he was making the team. That's just my personal opinion.
He'd have been on the practice squad, I reckon. He's that reliable, dependable guy you can call up from the practice squad if your tight end room is dinged up and you need somebody. And that's where it's going to hurt us the most. If a couple of the frontline guys get hurt, then the depth is not going to be as great on that practice squad as what it could have been. So I agree. I don't think he was going to make it, but man, it's just rough.
I mean, wasn't Purdy a rookie last year? Absolutely. And that was something that was extremely rare to happen. A huge shout out to the 49ers and Purdy himself. We just don't want to be put in that position. Let's just Jared Goff stay healthy. Don't need to be put in that position because Goff will give you the best chance to win this year. It's not, I'm not even, look, I love Hendon Hooker. I've talked about him. You've talked about him. We've talked about him immensely, even before the draft, way before the draft. But you're talking about a rookie versus a veteran. I'm going to take the veteran, especially in a playoff scenario where Jared Goff has been there, and that's where you're putting a rookie at. Oh, first game? Oh, that'd be rough.
And you got to remember, that game where Purdy got hurt, he was getting murdered before he got hurt. He was not having a good game at all with the 49ers when that happened. Now, obviously, in the regular season, anything can happen. Purdy, that was maybe his one and only shot at doing it. So you just go out there free, confident, not under pressure. And again, the 49ers, that run offense, it takes so much pressure off a quarterback. And I'm not using that to have a go at what Purdy's done. I'm just saying, schematically, that's the perfect scheme for a rookie quarterback because Shanahan goes by his run offense and makes it so easy for his young quarterbacks to be able to slot in and do what he needs them to do. Whereas, it's not like that everywhere. Here, we do run the ball a lot, but we need a guy who can competently throw it on the reg as well. So I just think it's different scheme. It's different scenarios there with him. Again, I'm not ragging on Hooker. I want him to be healthy. And that's the most important. I don't want to rush him back. I don't want to rush him out there before he's ready up here, which he will be. He will be there eventually. I just don't want to rush him. Because if you rush him, then you could just completely and utterly, it could blow up in your face.
Hooker to JMO is the future. Hooker's arm is outstanding. Deep ball is way better. He does got a really good arm. And if he can scramble too, that would open up a JMO if they wanted to do that down the road without Jared Goff. For sure, don't trust a hooker in Vegas, Warren Sapp said that one. Sewell is our tight end number 4. Hey, Sewell's our wide receiver number 4.
Sewell's wide receiver 1 on the Bears.
I know, he's one on the bench. Penei Sewell is wide receiver 1. Maybe be quarterback 1 at some point too, and cornerback, and all sorts of stuff. Misty says, "Woo, Kabinda is our tight end 4." Right now, yeah, I mean, he's like in that position. He's looking to get that tight end spot or running back spot or fullback, whatever they use him as. Misty, you're 100% correct. And yeah, shout out to Misty Locke for that one. What do you think about Kabinda?
Dan loves Kabinda, and we know if any head coach in the NFL is still going to use a fullback, it's Dan. That's the sort of football he likes to play. And Kabinda, the thing with Kabinda, which makes him, for me, not a guy who we're going to get rid of instantly, he's a good receiver as well. He's got a good pair of hands on him. He's got touchdowns. But he is very versatile as a fullback. And they said he's been training with the tight ends. So you can see there's certainly a plan for him. And Dan talked about him the other day. He said, we wouldn't keep a fullback if we don't think he can do everything that is required for us. And he preceded this by saying, with the injury with Kabinda, the injury has not hindered him. And before that injury, Kabinda could do everything that he wanted him to. So he's insinuating that Kabinda is healthy and is the player that he was before the injury. So he's going to... I think he's got a fighting chance of being on this roster. I just think that the fullback adds a unique aspect to the offense, and you do need to keep one around it. It all depends on who he's fighting with. Is it running back 4, wide receiver 7? Do they hold more intrinsic value to this team than he does? They're going to have to be really good, those guys, to get in front of Kabinda, I think.
We're going to extend Goff after this year. He's QB1. It's possible they could. I think I'm glad that they're waiting. At least that's what I think they're going to do, because we don't know how this season's going to play out. We think it's going to be a good year, but it's very possible they could. If he comes out and blows up and replicates last year or even better, for sure you could see that. Bugs been training with him also. Bugs, man. Yeah, Bugs is doing great. I love Bugs as a rotational player, Misty. I definitely do. Detroit Left says, hey, Misty, for sure, getting some love. I'm sorry, but I think it's time to move on for Kabinda. He's a Swiss Army knife, and he's not good at one thing. I think it's time to move on, but, maybe they keep him. I think I have him on the outside in right now, personally, but like you said there, man, Dan Campbell likes Jason Kabinda. He does.
The thing is with fullbacks are not meant to be specialists. If fullbacks were specialists, like if your fullback is a specialist receiver, he'll be used as a receiver. He'll be wide receiver 6 or 7. The whole point of being a fullback is that you can deploy him into a whole set of different situations and get him to do something for you. It's the versatility of the player itself. So if one play you need him in as a fullback to be a lead blocker for a running back, and then you want to put him in at tight end and have it peel off as a receiver, you've got this, you can keep this one guy who can do all these little things for you. It's not necessarily about the speciality with it. I mean, name me any of the fullbacks who have a proper speciality. Some of them, the Patriots one for years, could return it really well. But outside of that, your Swiss Army knife is there to do a wide variety of things, but not necessarily be elite at them. That's the whole point of keeping one.
Mr. Wizard, hashtag Ibrahim or Kabinda. I'm going to take Ibrahim. I think he is better at the bowling ball, the younger guy, the power guy. And I think if you have David Montgomery go down, I think he'd fill in that spot quite well. What do you think?
I'm a massive Mo fan. I love Mo. I would, if you said Mo versus anybody, there's a good chance I'd just take Mo regardless. Like I said, he's the running back we don't have out of these. He is your old-fashioned tank that you send in there time after time after time after time after time and just beat a team into submission through the middle. He's in the Derrick Henry mold. Now, I'm not saying he is. That's big, reach there, but that's the type of running back is. You just send him in there to cause chaos. Monty and Gibbs are not like that, so that's why I'd keep him as running back 3. So if it comes down to them two, I'm keeping Mo.
Who is running back 3 and 4? Right now, Craig Reynolds and Justin Jackson. I think that's how it's going on right now. Justin Jackson's starting to take a little flight upward. I think that, with him doing special teams as well, that could give him an edge at that number 4 position. But that's who I have right now, at least what it feels like. What do you got?
I'm going to give a completely biased and unfair answer here because they're guys I like, but I want to take Mo Ibrahim and Jamar Jefferson as my 2 backs. I believe in both of them and what they bring to this team. And it's no against Red. This is just purely personal preference. I would take those 2.
Motor City Dan Campbell, just want to say that I really appreciate you, Micro Mike and Ant-Man. Keep up the good work, you guys. Thank you so much, Ryan Gibson. You are a real one for sure. Can you move Mo Ibrahim to fullback? Well, I don't really see a reason why they would do that at all. He is what he is. He's the bowling ball. He's the old school run back. That's, he's that 1 yard guy, that 3 yard guy that we need him to be a backup to David Montgomery. I think it's like the perfect backup to him. He replicates that quite well. We're going to run the wishbone with Gibbs, Ibrahim, and Sewell on the goal line. Now let's get Taylor Decker as well on there. What other players can we put?
We just bring them all out. The wishbone, the wing T, all that sort of stuff. Just bring out all these. That's how we play, man. That's how we do it.
We're gonna go ahead and then we'll make Jack Fox. He'll be at the quarterback position. That's what he'll do right there. So you'll have Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Mo Ibrahim, and Jack Fox out there doing their thing. Who wants to bet against Levi this year? I'm betting he is going to be a monster this year. Chuck, I really hope so. Oh man, look, his start to the Lions career was not good, and then getting that fusion, it didn't look great. But if he can come in and be an impact for the Lions defensive line when someone such as myself thought he could, that would be massive to the defensive line. We needed that one person. If he'd come in and do that, that changes the game a little bit. Ant-Man, it does.
Yeah, I'm Team Levi. I've been for the most part. He's just not had a fair shot at things. He cannot help the injuries he's sustained. That, you just can't. And he's had a rough ride of it so far. He's missed the last year. And for him to still have all that time out and then come back, I know people talk about, the spring training, the early OTA, stuff like that, and they don't really mean much. But he's come in, he's worked his ass off, he's continually getting better. And, you heard he was taking shots to the back. He's been arching and he's still all right. He's still performing. And I know there's a huge fighter in there. You should know that by now. With Dan Campbell guys, they don't quit and they will never quit, ever. That's the mindset that they have and the mentality that they have. And I am not betting against him at all because we still don't have a player like him in our interior D-line. We drafted him to be the disruptor, the pocket collapser, the guy who does it all. And we don't have that guy in our interior D-line. As much as I love Aleem to death, he's my favorite player, but he's not that type of guy. And I think that, as I said, they've already laid the gauntlet down for him because not putting him on the NFI list or not putting him on the PUP list means that now he counts against the roster. And you are going to have to, the only way he can stay on this roster and play this year is if you give him a spot on the 53. Now that says to me that, this is it. They have set his clock going. This is the final countdown. You smash training camp, you smash preseason, and you earn your spot here. And if you don't, I think he's gone. I'm not sure he makes it to the practice squad. I think there would be someone who would plump on him. I don't think he makes it that far. By making that move that they can't keep him now unless they put him on the 53, that says to me that they're confident that he's in a position to compete, and I think he will. And I am not betting against him in the slightest. I think he's got a future here.
Hashtag Mike, do you think they'll use JMO in the preseason or save him so he doesn't get injured? He'll be used in the preseason. He's got to get as much reps as humanly possible. He was backed up from the injury last year. This year, suspended the first 6 games. Him and Jared Goff need all the reps, and he needs all the reps he can get. I don't want them to be, I don't want him to get injured. He needs to get in there and make plays. That's how he's going to get better. And the more snaps he gets, the better. What about you?
Play him all 3 games for as many snaps as you can, because he's going to have a month and a half off afterwards. So if he gets dinged, if he gets a little injury, he's got more than enough time to sit and rest. So just send him out there and play. I want to see him used as much as possible.
Hashtag FGB, hashtag FCB. If Levi doesn't become a real defensive tackle this year, do the Lions draft a Jarzen Newton next year? I'm not going to get into the draft yet. I haven't even looked at any prospects.
So I did this the other day. Jameson Newton, I did a breakdown on him the other day when we were talking about Sam Laporta. So that's why Lisa's asking there. Jameson is exactly like Levi, plays on the Illinois D-line. He's one of the best defensive tackles in next year's draft. I think if Levi doesn't pan out this year, then he's going to 100% be on the Lions' radar. So, yeah, it will be.
Yeah, I'm not getting into the draft until about week 4. I'm still in my draft fog. Like, when we do it so much, and then when it comes, it's like, okay, we need a break from it. My brain just needs to get away from the draft for a couple more. You know what I'm saying?
I do the college pod and all, so I kind of have to look at I don't look at the draft picks. I just look at the college players in general next season. So it kind of moves. I've had my break now. I love doing it. So. And
that's why you need to subscribe to Roar to Lions UK, because they are going all in, even on prospects. I don't know. Look, I know your hairline is not that great, and maybe that's because of all the prospects you're doing, and it does drive you crazy. But folks, he's doing it for you. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. He forego his hairline so you can know some prospects earlier than you would want. It would be a great storyline if Levi comes back and contributes this year. Be a great storyline. I think every Lions fan should be hoping for this. It would be outstanding for this team and the depth at the defensive tackle position. If he could contribute, that's big. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So we need this to occur. It would be awesome. He says, we appreciate that. Detroit Steve showing you some love, Ant-Man, sacrificing your hair for the greater good. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I think we're just scarred, aren't we, as fans? I think when a player goes down injured, we just assume the worst and we kind of just try and let him go.
CJ
Gardner through the heartbreak of it. And it's with Levi, it's like, I'm back in. It's like JMO. I just do not get why people rag on it. I get he's made some stupid mistakes, but it's like, imagine what JMO is as the finished product. I want that player playing for the Detroit Lions. And he does play for the Detroit Lions. So I'm going to use every single fiber of my being to will him on and support him to be that guy. It's the same with Levi. You know, I'm going to will him on every fiber of my being to be the guy that we profiled 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. I just want them to succeed here because Brad's got an eye for talent. I have no issue with the talent level here. And you've seen with Levi, he's that attitude to come back from this. It's like you said, that's a bad injury to come back from as a D lineman. Exactly. And the fact that he is and he's putting himself through it for the team, that's grit. That's what they talk about. That's what Dan and Brad talk about. That's grit. Putting yourself through the ringer, going through camp, doing it all again when he could have just said, you know what? No, it's not worth it. Not worth my time. I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead. I got there, did my thing. And so I will back him every inch of the way.
And you know he's going through pain, folks, because backs are no joke. And I'm going through pain right now. That's why you see me moving around, because of my back. So, shout out to Levi. Hopefully he gets it done. Jamal Williams caught 12 passes last season. David Montgomery had 34 passes caught. Versatile is different. David and Jameer on the field together will be unstoppable. It's going to be ridiculous, and you're going to see that on the field a lot. I definitely – look, I cannot wait to see this offense. It's, with – getting David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, just these running backs. I've been waiting to have a really great running game for so many years, and it now looks like we have a really good one, even upgraded from last year. I'm so excited to see it, even in preseason, the limited amount of snaps they get. I just want to see these guys on the field and what this means for everyone else, like the tight ends and the wide receivers. It's just going to open everything up, and it's going to be great to watch, like the greatest show on turf 2.0 or whatever. What do you think, Ant-Man?
The two of them could legitimately rack up 3,000 yards between the pair of them, like scrimmage yards. Easy. Monty has shown he can get 1,000 every season. He'd be getting well over 1,500 here. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, can get 1,500. They could be truly special. And they're running behind, for the most part, a fully healthy O-line this year. I would almost be disappointed if they didn't rack up major yardage this year, the pair of them. I think they're going to be fantastic.
Scotty says, we got to lift up J-Mo. I know he's a pro, but what point do you have F these guys crapping on me? Hashtag pro J-Mo. Look, we want J-Mo to succeed, and I'm not going to be part of the media that just garbages on him on everything that he does. I think it's a little ridiculous. I think it's a little bit biased going on, and I don't know why they do that. I really don't. If he makes a mistake, I want him to be treated exactly just like anybody else makes a mistake, not anything different, just because we traded up from the 32nd pick to the 12th pick to get him in last year's draft.
People want these, Mike. Clicks. They want clicks, and J-Mo is a click to go after. And I spent a good part of yesterday on Twitter arguing with people who were, especially from the outside, who were going all over him because, media were picking up on the fight where he threw a punch at somebody. I mean, get real. How many players throw punches in camps every single season? It's happened at Lions camp for years now. First year Dan Campbell was here. Second year Dan Campbell was here. Third year Dan Campbell was here.
I watched it.
Passionate. Yeah, it's passionate. And he is a passionate man. He is a young kid who is getting he's getting so much hate. And what I really hate about these guys, people picked up on the fight. Did any of them then suddenly have a critique where they went, right, I'm going to praise him as well? Did anyone say anything about the run block, all his, detractors? No. They can only focus on the bad. And I will not respect you if you can't see both sides of the argument. I understand J-Mo's done some childish, immature things, but he's a kid. And It happens. And I'm frustrated that he can't get on the field and show it all the time. But at the same point, I understand. And all these people are just going in at him, all over him, like national media and that. It's just, get the hell out. We don't need you. We don't want you. You don't see what we see every day. J-Mo has practiced really well in the offseason. He's done well. He's done everything asked of him. He's working extra hard to get in this team and do what's needed of him. He has half a bad day in pads and people blowing it up, saying he's a bust, saying he's this, saying he's that. It's like, get the hell out of here.
Men can be Karens too. It's just hashtag facts. We got Jason Stath here, Aurora Lions UK. While we close this bad boy out, tell the folks where they can find you.
So yeah, like Mike says, you can find us at Aurora Lions UK. We are a group of fans over here in the UK who support the Detroit Lions. If you want to come and check us out, see how we look at the NFL and everything Detroit Lions related from a British point of view, then check us out. We go live on Mondays. Season's coming up again soon, so we do preview shows on Thursdays. We review the games on Mondays. I do a college show on Wednesdays where I do prospect breakdowns, stuff like that. Just talk about college football. It's good fun. So if you haven't yet, do come and give us a check out. See what you think.
With that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour. Take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder. Work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters. They're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown.